guys, how's it going? It's me, Yoko from Japan. Welcome back to my channel. So this is not a live stream, but this is another separate video for you guys because many of you have been asking me about our new Prime Minister Suga and his new cabinet. So in this video, I'd like to try and tell you everything that I know, okay? So that you get a sense of our new Prime Minister, who your president, like if you're from America, your president, Trump will be meeting and so on. So yeah, this face already shows you something. But for those who are new here, I am Yoko. I'm from Japan and I was born and raised here in my mother country. And I'm also a huge Trump supporter, okay? And if you don't know anything about me, just follow me on Twitter at Random Yoko, and my feed might give you some ideas, even though I do tweet a lot in Japanese, so that might be kind of annoying. But anyway, so let's get started on today's video, right? So our new Prime Minister Suga, you might not have any idea who he is, what he stands for, what he's trying to do, being a new Prime Minister. Hey, guess what? We don't know either. We Japanese have always assumed, Mr. Suga to be somebody on the side to support our leader, like we didn't imagine, like, of course it could have happened, but we didn't expect him to become our prime minister, especially at this point. And the reason why I think is because, he's such a domestic politician. He's a national diet member, obviously, but we never hear him speak on diplomacy or any international matters. And all he talks about is like our domestic politics, like our systems and what's going on and politically and so on. So we have no idea. And so for that, for the inauguration, or is it even inauguration? Like he had a first speech as a prime minister last night here in Japan. And my husband and I were really excited to listen to what he has to say. And as a prime minister, new Prime Minister Suga didn't even mention the threats of China in like today. Like, I don't know, a lot of you come from America, but I don't know where you are from, but it's a common sense now in this world that what CCP-led China has been doing to all these nation states in Asia, together with CCP-led China has been threatening our freedom. Like anywhere, they are trying to get the world hegemony and also stealing the intellectual properties, and they're spies everywhere, like not just politically but economically. And yeah, they are doing all these awful things to the world, even polluting the environment and everything too, which somehow American leftists are quiet on. But so yeah, and that's the common sense today, right? But our new prime minister didn't even mention on it. And he did mention something about North Korea, the abduction problem. Like North Korea abducted like hundreds of Japanese people, and not just Japanese people though, like other people from other countries as well, especially South Korea. North Korea has been abducting people even today. And so our prime minister, new prime minister Suga, did mention on that, but he didn't emphasize anything there. So right after his speech last night, there was a press conference followed by that. The press was there and they were allowed to ask questions. And only when he was asked by a reporter about the abduction problem, what's the priority about the abduction problem, the reporter asks, and only then he said that is the first priority, just like our former prime minister Abe was saying. So but that's that's the, like, you can see what he's thinking right there. Even though I have to tell you though that Prime Minister Suga was actually passionate about the abduction issue, because that's where and that's where he got close with our former Prime Minister Abe. They were both working on the issue, so that's where they got close politically, and that's like the start basically. So I know that Prime Minister Suga, of course, wants to do something about it, but it's not like he's rather emphasizing his policies about our domestic issues such as COVID-19 and our regulatory, like he wants like regulatory, it's such a big word, regulatory reforms. So yeah, and it's let me give you the background briefly because it might get you a better idea to before I talk about anything else. So Prime Minister Abe, former Prime Minister Abe, as you know, who was one of the best friends of President Trump, former Prime Minister Abe was born in such a politician family, rich politician family, and so his status socially was really high. And just imagine a rich kid, okay? And he just jumped into the political field, I believe. Like that's what we assume, right? But as for our new guy, our new Prime Minister Suga, his father was a politician, but I hear that it was like some kind of small town politician. So it's probably different from what you imagine by hearing the word politician, So he comes from a small town. And I also heard that during university days, he had to work and earn the tuition fees for the university. And also for his political career, he had to first start off by becoming a secretary to a national diet member and so on. Like what I'm trying to say is that he, established his position step by step, so like taking years and years. And so I guess the sense is somewhat like American dream in a way, that if you work hard and do the right thing, then you become the leader. I mean, I don't even know how American dream is. It's not like I don't know, like he made efforts, and now he's the Prime Minister, and the success story there is so inspiring, and it's something that we Japanese people love. However, the problem is his diplomacy and so on, because Prime Minister Abe, former Prime Minister Abe, sorry, I'm still getting used to it, okay. Former Prime Minister Abe was good at diplomacy, and he was really good at talking to leaders from other countries. That's like the best thing that he was at. And so he was doing that well, and that is probably because his background, growing up and so on, that he's coming from a rich family and experienced in overseas. And if you look at the profiles of like most ministers here in Japan, and most of them have studied abroad and so on, and they have some kind of experiences overseas or with like foreign people, and so they speak English, or they are just used to the westernized environment and so on. But Mr. Suga, our new Prime Minister, he doesn't have that sort of experiences. I don't think that he speaks English, and I don't think that he's had any like experiences overseas. So like truthfully, we have no idea how he is. But what we can say is that his cabinet is the continuation of our former cabinet, Abe's cabinet. So like over half of the ministers are they are from the previous cabinet. Some changed their position, but so it's the continuation. So not much will change. However, as an activist here in Asia, what I'm concerned about is who's behind Mr. Suga, our new Prime Minister. There is this man, this really old man named Nikai. Just spell Nikai, Nikai. And he's a pro-China politician. Everybody knows here about him here, okay? And just imagine like Biden, but more determined, as like more like having a Chinese identity or something. Nikai is LDP politician, Liberal Democratic Party, the same party as Abe and Suga and all the other ones, like governing party. And he's powerful inside of the LDP, and he's got his faction, like huge faction too. And Nikai is the kind of politician who wants to invite Xi Jinping even today, as our state guest. You know, former Abe administration was inviting Xi Jinping from China as our state guest, which a lot of us, opposed. Even the same people, politicians from the same party opposed, and so on. It was such a chaotic thing. But then COVID-19 came, like they sent Wuhan virus, so it kind of disappeared for now. But then, like today, actually, I read an article saying that Nikai wants to invite Xi Jinping even today, like after everything is settled, So, and that guy is behind, our new Prime Minister Suga. And, but it's actually it is the continuation of our previous administration as well. Like Nikai has been always there in the party, being like he had like a power in the party, with the role in the party. But this time, Mr. Suga and Mr. Nikai are close. So don't get me wrong, though. Mr. Suga is close. Like he knows how to get around politically. Like he becomes friends with a lot of people. I think the only person who he's not good friends with is Mr. Aso, our deputy prime minister. So yeah. Yeah, and but Nikai is still Mr. Nikai is pushing pro-China policies always. So it depends on how much Mr. Suga has to listen to him just to control him inside of the party. So we will see. But yeah, and this. So yeah, it's really a problem. Like we have no idea what Mr. Suga is thinking, like internationally, but we did see this. Our new defense minister. Here is something that this is the bright side of the new cabinet, which is that our new defense minister is named Nobuo Kishi, and he's actually a real blood younger brother of Shinzo Abe. He's not named Abe because Mr. Kishi, he married into his wife's family. So that's why his name is different. Like Mr. Kishi was Abe first, and then married into his wife's family. So his name is Kishi now instead of Abe. But this new defense minister, he's not only, he's the younger brother of former Prime Minister Abe. He is also pro-Taiwan, and that is amazing in my opinion. He is really so pro-Taiwan that he has lots of good connections in Taiwan, including the current president of Taiwan, Tai, and so on. And it's diplomatically speaking, I think this is where I can kind of see the intention of this new cabinet, because, especially considering Japan-US alliance, because Trump administration is shifting their strategy to Taiwan right now. Like America is pouring so much energy into Taiwan, and we can see that. Especially after Hong Kong has unfortunately fallen, the front line has been it shifted to Taiwan, and America, of course, is the first one to get adjusted. So we see that, and our new defense minister is pro-Taiwan, and he's a bridge between Japan and Taiwan. So that's that's politically speaking, it's a really strong message right there. So looking at that, probably China right now is kind of upset, so that's good, I think. So yeah, because Nikkei is behind Mr. Suga, China probably thought this cabinet will be easy, easy to deal with. Not really. And also another thing, as for defense situation, that's something I wanted to tell you guys about. And another thing is that this administration will focus, as I said, on our domestic issues, and mostly what I hear most is the regulatory reforms, right? There's a administrative reform minister, and this administrative reform minister is Taro Kono, who was serving previously as the defense minister, and he's kind of like Trump, I would say. That Mr. Kono is the minister for the regulatory reforms, but Mr. Kono is so blunt and so sharp, blunt, and he's straightforward, like me. And so he doesn't fear things, and his father was also a politician who was actually very, very problematic, but let's put that aside. So anyway, but he's a kind of a good guy. Not sure if he's a conservative. Oh, Mr. Suga, by the way, we don't know if he's conservative or anything. He doesn't talk about his thoughts, political thoughts. We don't hear him speak anything about that sort of stuff. He just deal with his tasks as a politician, and he is really good at that. But yeah, that's something that I wanted to mention. And so the reforms will be happening. So for that, Mr. Suga is actually close with our party called Ishin. I don't actually know their English name, but there's this party from the opposition parties, one of the opposition parties named Ishin, and they're what they want to do is every time they open their mouth, they are talking about tearing down our vested interests. They keep saying that, every time they open their mouth, vested interests. It's establishment in the US, I think. I don't know if I can say if that's establishment, but it's I'm asking my friend about the term, if it's different. But anyway, in Japan, we have carried on negative consequences from the past. So Prime Minister Suga is saying that he wants to break down the vertical structure, meaning that, for example, as for COVID-19, the government actually decided to give us money, give the citizens money, and we wanted to apply for that. But in order to do that, it's so stupid. We have to go to the city hall and the bank and the different places. Like we have to go to different places because all this vertical structure, its vertical things are not sharing information. You know, in America, you have social security number and so on, and that like everything is like it's all aligned in one number and everything, right? But in Japan, you have to go to this place to get this other place to get this, and you have to each time you have to get in the line for a long time, which is dangerous considering like you know, possible infection and so on. It's just so ridiculous, and people were fed up with that. And our new guy, our prime minister Suga, saw that happening, so he's like, we will tear down those vertical structures. So he is encouraging our digitalization of documents and so on, like all this administration things. So there's this new minister, Takuya Hirai, and he'll be handling all this digitalization of our politics. So that's good. Like we are finally diving into 21st century. So that's good. But yeah, and so vertical structure and culture of negative precedents, such a big word. So like Japan has this weird culture of not opposing. Like I have explained this in my live stream, but Japanese people don't like to disagree in public, you know, and we like culturally speaking, you know, I don't care for it personally, but culturally Japanese people don't like to conflict with each other, which cause like negative consequences to our diplomacy. You know, we easily apologize and so on for what we didn't even commit, for example. But so we just carrying on like, oh, the last time we did it like this, so let's do it again like this. And it goes on and goes on and on and on and on. And nobody questions why we do what we do. And so finally, Mr. Suga is like, you know what? Let's stop all these ridiculous things that we were doing for nothing, okay? So that's a good thing that's happening in our politics. And he will also try to break down the vested interests in the government. So yeah, basically, as I said before in my live stream, our bureaucracy is really, really strong. It's like half of our politics are like seized by them, you know? So our bureaucracy is just like, I kind of get it though, like, you know, all this bureaucracy people, they are there doing their job, and then their top person, their minister comes, but the minister gets replaced one after another. So like it doesn't mean like it's no use in knowing them or obeying them. So like those bureaucracy goes like kind of like, you know, I don't know the word, but you get what I mean. So that's the negative thing that's happening here. So I think that our government now will try and change that, you know. So yeah, firstly, our new government or a cabinet will try and fix our economy. I don't know how, because I mean, this digitalization and all this regulatory reforms might actually do well about all this economical like things, but Prime Minister Suga actually said like he doesn't want to, you know, reduce our he doesn't want to reduce our consumption tax, even though that's the simple and effective way out of this awful economic situation right now, like here in Japan. So I mean, he's an LDP politician, so we don't expect much from him. But so that's how it is right now. And yeah, so he is really such a domestic leader for now. Like we don't know how he will turn out to be, you know, talking to leaders from around the world. But right now, what he says is like he's such a humble person, I guess, that he and humble and very realistic. And so he doesn't go like, oh, we should do this and that. And rather than that, he's like, he listens to people here, and he knows, because he had a, hard time coming all the way to become our prime minister. He suffered a lot, he made a lot of effort. So he knows how to listen to citizens here, I think. So that's why he's emphasizing that he will, his cabinet will work for the people here. That he will first try and fix our economy, and together with that, of course, our government will try and support our people. But then, because our digitalization is so behind, it's so hard, so he will do that simultaneously. So then like all the regulatory reforms will happen, and it's all attached. So he is just domestically trying to change our system, and he's gonna pour so much energy into that. And the cabinet, we are supposed to have our national election in a year, and so he doesn't have much time, actually. So I think that he will hurry up and do all these things while he can. And I just have no idea about, especially like Japan-US alliance. But as I said, this defense minister thing is there. And, Japan-US alliance is weird. Like both of our countries, in both of our countries, Japan and America, our bureaucracy is like strong, right? And so like even if our leaders change, our basis remains the same. So it still worked out during Obama administration somehow, even though America's presence was withdrawing, and we were more and more exposed to the threat of China and so on. But even during that, though, US was there for us. So hopefully it won't change much, and hopefully I really want to, not hopefully, I am here to contribute to the relationship with between Japan and the US, and not just America, but also, all these nation states in the world. Like, we are all in this together, that we are fighting. Oh, one thing I need to mention is that the leftists here were criticizing our new cabinet being so old. The average age of our new cabinet is 60.4 years old. And I don't know, it depends on which country you are from, I guess, but it might be too old. And it sucks, like, they're opinion leaders in our country, but I'm like the youngest. I'm not even that young. How old do I look? I'm 35 years old. So, and, I speak up, and I'm not like worth listening, in our society, basically, that I'm such a child politically, and the, people in the 70s or 80s are still in the power. So, I guess America has a similar problem, Joe Biden being the best that the Democratic Party can do. So see, we're in this together, the young generation. No offense to older generations, okay? I'm just saying, like, younger people can work faster, and we have like a different set of minds, and like this is when we shine the most. So we want to do our things, by our own. And so, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And I really want to connect, my generation with, like I want to connect my generation in the world, and also I want to connect all these people, like especially like those who cherish like traditional values and so on. I want to get connected with those who share the similar values, and so on. So thanks for listening, guys. I expected this video would be short, but I talk a lot. Okay, I'm still doing the live stream on Saturday your time, Sunday my time. Okay, and before I go, here's a shout out to my amazing patrons. I'm using a new system. I mean, it's StreamYard paid service, but so yeah, I could insert things, but I thought this would be easier and kind of better. It's handwritten by me. I mean, I could have done better with the handwriting, but Patreon, guys, Patreon. If you want to support me, or if you feel like hearing what I have to say more, support me on Patreon. And if you give me like, if you support me with like a certain amount of money, it's actually over $20, then you get these credits in my video. If over $10, then you get the credit in the description box below. Okay, so check out my Patreon, even though don't really read it though. I need to fix that thing. I still haven't. Sorry for that. Oh, I'm still managing everything. Trying to establishing new foundation so that I can do things more effectively. But anyway, sorry I rambled a little bit, but I hope this video helps you in some way. Okay, if you have any questions or whatsoever, follow me on Twitter at Random Yoko. Also subscribe to this channel, okay? And please like and share, because that will make my day. Okay, so thanks guys for watching. I'm gonna go now, so have a great day. Okay, bye.